Breaking news, CNN just learning Brian Laundrie and his parents stayed together at a campground 75 miles from their home in early September, right after Brian returned home to Florida without his fiancée, Gabby Petito, who, of course, had been living with him there. So he showed up with her van, but without her. They all went camping. It comes as the lawyer for the Petito family accuses Brian's parents of not doing enough to find their missing son. Leila Santiago is out front.
As the FBI leads the search for Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito's family speaking out, still searching for answers and justice for their Gabby.
The Laundries did not help us find Gabby. They're sure is not going to help us find Brian. For Brian, we're asking you to turn yourself in to the FBI or the nearest law enforcement agency.
Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie, was reportedly last seen 2 weeks ago today. Police say his parents claim he left the house with a backpack to go to a nearby nature reserve. They reported him missing 3 days later. The Laundries releasing a statement through their attorney Monday night denying they helped their son get away, saying in part, Chris and Roberta Laundrie do not know where Brian is. They are concerned about Brian and hope the FBI can locate him. The speculation by the public and some in the press that the parents assisted Brian in leaving the family home or in avoiding arrest on a warrant that was issued after Brian had already been missing for several days is just wrong. It comes as the family attorney tells CNN Brian Laundrie went camping with his parents at the park Fort DeSoto from September 6th to the 7th, shortly after Laundrie returned to Florida and just days before Gabby was reported missing. According to Petito's Instagram page, the couple visited the same park back in February, posting these images. Local officials say they're not actively searching the park, and a former park ranger tells CNN it would be hard to stay hidden there.
With today's technology, it would probably be damn near impossible in that small little area.
The search for Laundrie intensifying, the mystery deepening. After more than a week of the authorities focusing their search in the 25,000-acre nature reserve near the Laundrie's home, law enforcement officials say the FBI operation is being scaled back and targeted based on intelligence. All while Gabby's family shares with the world their grief.
I actually got behind a car yesterday, and there was a Wyoming sticker, and the letters were GBZ.
Gabs.
So it's Gabs. She's with us.
The parents and step-parents using tattoos, Gabby's own designs, to honor their daughter.
I wanted to have her with me all the time. And you know, Aaron, you could really get a sense of the struggle within the Petito family to make sense of all of this. You heard the dad at one point saying during that press conference that they're just trying to find any way to find positive things that can come of this. One of the things they talked about is they're hoping to start a foundation in her name that could help others who have disappeared.
All right. Thank you very much, Leila. And now I want to bring in Jim Clemente, a retired FBI profiler who has been analyzing this horrible case for us from the very beginning. So, Jim, look, this is kind of getting at something that you have been, I know, thinking about and circling around here for quite a while, and that is the Laundrie family. And now we're finding out that Brian and his family stayed at a campground 75 miles from their home. And they do this after he returns to Florida without his fiancée, who lived with them all in Florida, but with her van. And he comes home and they all go camping together. What questions does this raise for you?
Well, obviously, if this is a campground that he's familiar with, and I believe Gabby and he also had looked at that campground at some time before, that this could be a place that he might go to or stay at to hide out. But I think what's really interesting is the lawyer's statement was that Brian and his family went to this campground and his family left together. I don't know why he would drop out Brian and his family left out together, unless that maybe was a particular choice that he made. But he didn't say that they all went back home together. He said they left the campground together. So I would wonder whether or not he departed from them sometime after they left that campground, just based on the statement that the lawyer made.
All right. So, and you know what, as you point out, right, The lawyer has been choosing his words very carefully, and so it is important to think about it that way. So the Laundrie family attorney denied that Brian's parents have helped him evade arrest. And in a statement that says in part, quote, Chris and Roberta Laundrie do not know where Brian is. They are concerned about Brian and hope the FBI can locate him. Okay, so they say they hope the FBI can locate Brian. Now, have you seen the Laundries act or behave in a way that would indicate they're frantically looking for their son?
No, I haven't. In fact, I would wonder whether or not, I mean, the only way that that could be possible is if they're doing things behind the scenes with the FBI, because publicly they're not. They're not appearing to be interacting with the FBI at any time other than when the FBI knocks on their door with a search warrant. And this is very troubling, because if they actually want the FBI to find their son, they need to actually be active and giving them access to all their phones, all their records, all their vehicles, and all their friends and family. And I just don't see that happening at this point.
So they're in the meantime, they're focused obviously on this nature reserve. And I spoke with a rancher who has worked near that nature reserve for 30 years, right? He knows it like the back of his hand. And this is now, of course, as you know, Jim, where police have been searching for Brian for the past 10 plus days. So I asked him, is there any way that Brian could still be in there? And alive, for one. And here's what he told me about that.
There's just no possible way to survive in there with the mosquitoes and everything else and the wetness. I mean, there's very few dry spots in there. There's no way.
So he says that he couldn't be in there alive. He also told me he didn't think he could be in there dead because there had been no buzzards and because of the way, first of all, he said large reptiles would go away. They wouldn't attack. But if that had happened, they then drag a body underwater where it sits for 10 days before they eat it. Okay, so I'm being gruesome here, but he's making the case for their infrared would have found him, right? So dead or alive, they would know if he was there. He says he's just not there. What do you think?
Well, I think as the days pass, that probability is increasing that he is not there. But you also have to understand that Brian Laundrie is fairly young and obviously used to camping out and using his own survival skills.
Yeah.
Not just sort of a weekend camper. And so he may be able to avoid detection for a while, especially if he had a head start and plenty of supplies and he had survival gear.
All right, Jim, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Aaron.
And next, we're learning new details about why Trump took that secret trip to Walter Reed Hospital and why he kept it under wraps for so long. And the tragic results of misinformation about COVID. One state reporting deaths linked to ivermectin. That's the drug commonly used for livestock after false claims that it's a COVID cure.